Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Todd Locke. I play keys and music direct for an artist named Lauren Daigle. So I want to answer some questions today on what it looks like to play in a live environment. What's my favorite memory playing, or my coolest experience? Probably a lot of the stuff that I've done with Lauren has been a lot of fun. Lauren Daigle. And you get to travel around and play in different places, and that's always fun. It is tough sometimes to leave home and travel, but I enjoy going around and seeing what God is doing in different areas and being able to, just like we were in Orlando last night before Hurricane Irma hits today there. It was really cool to be able to play and to minister to people whose lives may be different after this hurricane hits. So I enjoy the experiences of that. The next question, and this is always a fun question for everybody to ask. Did you ever majorly fail at an event? And people categorize failure in different ways. I can say if you're just jumping into this, you're gonna feel like you failed at some point or another, and that's okay. Unfortunately, one of the best ways that you can play is through, learning through failure, messing up and figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and that's okay. I would say not to beat yourself up over it, because everybody slips up from time to time, and no one is perfect, certainly. And, the biggest thing that you can help to kind of keep your brain there is when you're playing, don't be thinking about what you're going to have for lunch or dinner. Be focused on where you are in that moment, the chords you're supposed to play, the event, what you're doing. Just be laser focused in that moment, and that's going to really help you keep your composure and your focus when you're playing. The biggest thing that I had is when I first got into playing worship music at my church. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just coming from classical music lesson type stuff, which is completely different from improv and playing with a band and playing chords and all these different things. And I remember one time, I wasn't in the house because I was just starting out, so they didn't put me in the system or anything, because obviously I didn't know what I was doing. But the very first thing that I played was like this Christmas event with a band, and Christmas music is incredibly hard. So I'm playing the songs, and there's so many details coming in my head. And the guy who was singing right before he walked on stage, he changed the key of a song. And I guess in the midst of all this stuff that I was trying to remember, I didn't hear him say that the key was changed. Fortunately, like I said, I wasn't in the speakers because I didn't know what I was doing. But I started playing these bells for a Christmas song in a different key, and it was the funniest thing because he didn't know who to follow, me or the band. And I remember laughing so hard. But I think that's an important part of when you feel like you failed or messed up. Laugh it off and learn from what you're doing and try better next time. But I think something that is good to guard yourself against is not everything should be for performance-based, meaning like there's an aspect to playing that's more than performance. And for me, that aspect is spiritual, and what is God going to do through this, and how is the Spirit going to move? And at the end of the day, that's more important than if I play the right notes or not. So definitely don't get hung up on that. Just learn from your mistakes and move on. And the last question on here is, how did I get where I am? And honestly, I don't know. I think that there is an aspect to what we're all doing, that our lives are in God's hands. And I heard some great advice years ago from a guy. He said, never sell yourself musically. Meaning, never try to force open a door with music or say, hey man, I'm available. I'm a killer keys guy. Like, please, have me come do this. because a lot of times maybe God had you in a season of teaching you some stuff, and certainly for me, teaching me patience and taking me on the journey that he took me on to bring me where he has me currently. And so I think it's important to one, trust that process and to pray, okay, God, I want you to do the miraculous in my life, meaning like whatever doors you open for me musically, I want it to be something that I can look back and say, yes, 100%, that was God. It was not me trying to force something or press a door open, but it was God leading and moving in the way that only he can do. And so as you're kind of on that journey with music, wherever you're starting out and whatever it looks like, I know it can be a process of patience. But a lot of times the beautiful thing about music, and especially with the keyboard, is you can be practicing and practicing for a few months, and then you're like, man, am I making any progress? And then suddenly you look back and you see how far you're down the road. And so as you're walking on that journey, just trust God in that process, and he puts those dreams inside of you for music, and obviously he gives us talents and abilities. So just trust him in that process. That would be my best advice. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to doing some more of these videos in the future. Have a good day.